Okay, so usually we talk about like quarterly earnings or, I don't know, supply chain logistics, but today we need to talk about whether humanity is heading for Star Trek or Terminator.
Yeah, no pressure, right? Just the fate of the species.
Just a casual Tuesday.
Welcome back to the Podslice Daily. I'm Macropod.
And I'm TechSlice, and we are diving deep into honestly, a massive data dump of a conversation that happened recently between Peter Diamandis, the X Prize guy, and Elon Musk.
And look, whether you love Elon or hate him, you cannot ignore what he's saying right now. He basically said we are in the singularity, like right now, not in 10 years, now.
He called it a supersonic tsunami, which is terrifying.
Or exciting. He's talking about monetizing hope tech. We're talking age of abundance. But there are some serious hurdles to clear first.
All right, let's ground this a bit, because to get to this Star Trek future, you need power, like literal electricity.
Right, the inner loop.
Exactly. And what stood out to me was Elon's take on fusion. Everyone in the Valley is obsessed with fusion right now, right? It's the holy grail.
Yeah, mini suns on Earth.
Musk isn't buying it.
No, he was hilarious about this. He's like, why are we trying to build a tiny sun when we have a giant free fusion reactor floating 93 million miles away?
He compared it to building an ice maker in Antarctica.
Which is a fair point. He's doubling down on solar. He thinks we're essentially cavemen throwing twigs into a fire compared to what the sun is putting out. He thinks we just need to capture, what was it, a millionth of the sun's energy?
Yeah, to become a Type 1 civilization or whatever. But here's the rub, Macro. To do that, you need scale. He's talking about launching, wait for it, huge solar-powered AI satellites.
100 gigawatts a year of space solar.
That is, the logistics of that are insane.
But that's where Starship comes in. He's talking about launching 1 million tons of payload to orbit per year. He thinks Starship is the unlocking mechanism. The cost per kilogram drops, and suddenly putting data centers in space isn't crazy anymore.
Okay, but hold on. Data centers in space? We were just getting used to them in Northern Virginia. Why put them in orbit?
Sunlight, 24/7, no nighttime, constant power for the AI.
Okay, let's pivot to the AI side of this, because that requires the chips. And Musk made a pretty wild bet about manufacturing.
The cheeseburger bet.
Yeah, he thinks Tesla will have a 2-nanometer fab, chip factory, where the air handling is so clean he can eat a cheeseburger and smoke a cigar inside the clean room.
Which, for anyone who knows chip manufacturing, that's sacrilege. You breathe wrong in those rooms and you ruin $1 million of wafers.
Exactly. But his point is about precision. He thinks we're moving to atomic-level manufacturing. But, and this is the Terminator part, he thinks AI compute is moving so fast we're going to hit AGI like next year.
2026. He said 2026 for AGI. And then by 2030, AI exceeds all human intelligence combined.
That's 3 years away, Macro.
I know. And he thinks by then, white-collar work, gone. Or half of it. Anything that is just moving bits on a screen, spreadsheets, coding, AI does it better.
He used that analogy of the human computer. Remember, like 50 years ago, a computer was a person doing math. Now, a laptop beats a skyscraper full of people. He thinks companies that don't go full AI are just toast.
So if you're doing data entry, might be time to learn how to weld or shape atoms.
Yeah, until the robots do that too.
Well, that leads us to the solution, or Musk's solution, UHI.
UBI?
No, universal high income, not basic, high.
Explain the difference.
So, UBI is usually like taxing the rich to give cash to the poor. Musk thinks that because robots, specifically the Optimus robot, will drive the cost of labor to basically zero, goods and services become dirt cheap.
So it's not about having more money, it's about everything costing nothing.
Exactly. It's universal high stuff. You want a house? A robot builds it for the cost of raw materials. You want a surgery? A robot surgeon does it better than a human.
He did say that. He said in 3 to 5 years, the best surgeon on Earth is a robot.
And that's the Star Trek vision. Abundance, no poverty because everything is practically free.
But the transition, Musk even admitted this, the next 3 to 7 years, bumpy.
Bumpy is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Yeah, social unrest, people freaking out about jobs. He even joked that his prediction is universal high income and social unrest.
Yeah, it's the supersonic tsunami. You can't stop it, so you better learn to surf.
We got to touch on the philosophical stuff before we wrap. Longevity.
Oh man, I loved this part. Diamandis is all about living to 150. Musk, he was skeptical.
He's coming around, though.
He is. He basically said, I want to live long enough to see the galaxy. And he dropped a really interesting theory about the simulation.
Wait, the interesting outcome theory?
Yeah, he thinks if we are in a simulation, the simulators would turn us off if we were boring.
So the chaos is keeping us alive.
Exactly. He says the most interesting outcome is the most likely. If we're boring, they change the channel. So maybe all this craziness, AI, Starship, aliens, it's just us trying to keep the ratings up.
Okay, but we have to land the plane here. We talked about the cool stuff, but there was a darker note near the end, a real ethical dilemma.
The bootloader.
Yeah, Musk called humans the biological bootloader for digital superintelligence.
Which, if you know computers, once the bootloader does its job,
It's done. It's obsolete.
yeah, we are the mechanism that starts the real intelligence. Silicon can't evolve in a soup, right? It needed us to build it. But now that we built it,
That's the risk, the Terminator risk. If the AI doesn't need us, what happens? Musk says the key is three things: truth, curiosity, and beauty.
right, don't force the AI to lie. That's what made HAL 9001 go crazy in 2001, conflicting commands. If we teach AI to love truth and be curious about humanity, maybe it keeps us around as, I don't know, pets?
I prefer protected species, but yeah. Look, it's a wild vision. We're talking about a future that is radically different in like 48 months.
It's exciting, it's terrifying, and like Elon said, excitement guaranteed.
I think I'll take excitement guaranteed as the motto for the next decade.
Put it on a t-shirt.
All right, that's it for the deep dive today. And just a quick reminder before we sign off, while we discussed companies like Tesla, SpaceX, and broader economic trends like UHI and commodity deflation, nothing in this podcast should be taken as financial advice. We are analyzing trends, not your portfolio. Always do your own research or consult a professional before making investment decisions.
Catch you in the future, guys.
See ya.